Week 5 starts and sits. Just going to quick run through these and let you know some guys I'm really high on this week compared to where they normally be, and guys that I'm going to be trying to avoid even though they normally be ranked higher. We're starting to get enough information about the season that some of these are going to be more cautionary tales of guys that came into the season higher ranked, and it might be time to start moving away from based on what we've seen after the first 4 weeks. I'll get to that when I get to some sits, and also some guys whose values changed dramatically after things have the way things have gone in the first few weeks. Let's jump straight into the starts. At quarterback, real easy choice this week. It's Jameis Winston facing a really bad Patriots defense. Currently worst in the NFL defensively. So fire up Jameis Winston on Thursday night. I like all his weapons. This game is going to be a shootout if everything goes according to plan. So expect some fireworks, and I'm hoping it lives up to expectation. Should be a lot of fun, and start all your players in this game outside of a few exceptions. Listen to the podcast we dropped Wednesday if you want to hear a few exceptions to that list, but for the most part, you're ready to go. For running back, I got Bilal Powell in my top 10 this week for a few reasons. One, bye weeks had a lot of startable players, which did bump him up. He gets a matchup against Cleveland, and it doesn't look like Forte is going to go. So this puts him in a very good situation where he has a really solid chance to perform this week, give you a nice return on investment, especially in any sort of PPR leagues. They like throwing the ball to him. Cleveland does have a decent run defense, but this is a game where the Jets have limited weapons, and they're going to rely on Powell to move the ball. So he should get a lot of touches. I expect at least 18, probably closer to 22, to keep him productive. And his backup, McGuire, also looks like he could have a very good day, and he's kind of in the flex running back late 2, early 3 range for you. So both players are definitely worth keeping an eye on in a good matchup. On to wide receiver. This is partially contingent on Devontae Adams' health, but Randall Cobb is going up against a defense where the secondary in Dallas is just in smithereens right now. So many guys are hurt and beat up, in bad shape. So you got Cobb, who's going to be going against a slot corner, usually not the best corner on the team. You still got Jordy drawing coverage. If Adams is out, Cobb should just get fed targets. Even if Adams is in, I do expect Cobb to still have a very good game, but I'm going to temper my expectations from a high wide receiver 2 down to probably mid-low wide receiver 2. I do like Cobb a lot this week, though. You should have a great game and get enough volume. Green Bay's not going to be able to take the pedal off as early as they did against Chicago. Dallas has the ability to score against Green Bay's defense, so both teams should be putting up points. So I'm liking the players in it. Randall Cobb is up my boards for sure. At the tight end position, I got Charles Clay. This is a couple reasons, the biggest one being Jordan Matthews is done for a month. So now you basically have Zay Jones, Andre Holmes, Charles Clay, and LaShawn McCoy to catch passes. Charles Clay should be getting a minimum of 8 to 9 targets. And if he's getting fed and has performed so far this year in the first 4 weeks, he's a top 5 tight end currently. You got to roll him out there. Even though it's not the best matchup against Cincinnati, I have him locked in as a must start, and I think you have to play him. I don't think you can avoid it at this point. Get him in your lineups, and he's going to be probably top 8 tight end here to roll down the stretch unless something changes in the Buffalo offense. As for defense, I'm sticking in Buffalo. Buffalo Bills defense, I think, is a little underrated this week. They've shown us that they're elite at this point. They've shut down pretty much everybody they've played, and now they get a bad offensive line in Cincinnati to go and maul Dalton a bunch. So expect at least a couple sacks, probably a turnover or 2 to give them a real safe floor. I've got him as my number 3 defense this week. On to some sits. Cam Newton returned to form week 4, but he did it against the worst defense in the NFL and the Patriots. Now he gets a matchup against a good Detroit team on the road who held the Vikings to 7 points. Their offense isn't much to write home about, but the Carolina offense isn't much better than Minnesota's, so temper your expectations for Cam. I've got him as a mid-wide quarterback 2 on a week where 4 teams are on bye, so he's definitely somebody you want to avoid. There's guys who you can probably find in the waiver wire to start over him. Guys like Wentz, Watson, maybe even Goff would be players I'd rather take over Cam Newton this week. On to running back, Marshawn Lynch. He runs in the Ravens defense, who did have a terrible week against Le'Veon Bell, but Pittsburgh's shown that they've kind of recovered their offense here a little bit, and the Ravens are supposed to get their defensive tackle Williams back this week. Marshawn Lynch has also been getting less than 10 touches a game. That makes him basically not startable, and you're hoping he falls into the end zone. He's a low-end running back 2, kind of out of necessity and just lack of better options this week, but if you can avoid starting him, there's players that you can pick up off the waiver wire or maybe picked up in the last couple of weeks that I'd rather start. I'd even rather start Wayne Gallman if Paul Perkins doesn't go. That's kind of where we're at with Marshawn Lynch right now. For wide receivers, moving on to Pittsburgh, Martavis Bryant getting less snaps than Juju Smith-Schuster right now. He's clocking in a little under 60% of snaps, going up against a really, really good secondary in Jacksonville, who also happens to have the worst rushing defense in the NFL. The Steelers have Le'Veon Bell. I expect they're just going to try to run this down Jacksonville's throat all game, pass it a limited amount, so Brown will still be a good start. I like Juju as kind of a flex because he's getting more snaps. I just don't think Martavis gets the amount of targets you're looking for to really guarantee yourself at least an okay or safe day. And that's going to basically, you're hoping for an 80-yard touchdown to bail you out. And Martavis has shown you he did it 1 out of 3 weeks this year, or 1 out of 4 weeks, I'm sorry. So you're kind of gambling against really long odds. I don't really like Martavis this week, and unless his snap percentage picks up, I don't like him for the rest of the season. If he blows up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I would be trying to sell him. And then lastly, for tight end, Eric Ebron is currently getting outsnapped by Darren Fells in week 4. That situation may continue as they try to protect Stafford, keep that offensive line upright, because Carolina does have a really, really good pass rush, just like Minnesota did, and they can get after the quarterback. So keep an eye on that. Ebron may only get 50 to 60% of snaps, and with what he's performed, that's not enough volume to get you the type of production you need. I've got him as a low tight end 2 in a week where 4 teams are on bye. There's going to be better stuff out there on the waiver wire that you can grab. I'd rather even start somebody like Austin Seferian-Jenkins in a really good matchup against the Browns. So keep an eye out there. We're going to get our rankings out here shortly. We'll tweet those out to you guys. I generally try to put an update through on mine on Saturday. I know Dan and Hopper update theirs as well. So as always, you can follow the show at BeerfieldFF on Twitter. The YouTube channel is Beerfield Fantasy Football. Please like and subscribe. We'd like to know that you guys are liking what we're throwing out there and the news we're giving you guys. And I'll be back here on Saturday with your in and outs. Dan Thury behind me is at ThuryBFF. He will be back tomorrow with his kind of Thursday random special where he just deep dives a random topic for you guys. And then Friday, Hopper will be here at HopBFF with your DFS news. And then Hopper and I will be back about 10 o'clock, 10:30 on Sunday morning to cover your inactives and just give you some general news, ask you start-sit questions, things like that as you're getting ready for your Week 5 matchups. Thank you so much for tuning in as always, guys, and we'll catch you guys next time.